Man, what if is a question that has the power to ignite your soul? Or leave you stuck in the same place you've always been. Most people use what if as an excuse to feel sorry for themselves. What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? What if I'm not good enough? Let me be raw with you. Those kinds of what ifs are nothing but chains holding you down. They're bullshit excuses disguised as caution. You ain't scared of failing. You're scared of the effort it takes to even try. But here's the truth. What if can be your biggest weapon if you flip the script? Instead of asking weak-ass questions, start asking the real ones. What if I don't quit this time? What if I become the person I know I'm capable of? What if I face my fears and actually win? What if you gave everything you've got even when it hurts? What if you stopped blaming the world and took full accountability for your life? What if you finally stopped lying to yourself about who you are and put in the damn work to become who you can be? Man, pain is coming either way. You can either feel the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One is temporary. The other will fucking haunt you. So when you're sitting there scrolling, dreaming and wishing, remember this. The clock's ticking. Life ain't waiting for you to decide. You've got to stop bullshitting yourself. You say you want change, but do you really? Are you willing to face the grind? The cold mornings, the lonely nights, the failures that make you want to quit? Because that's the price. That's the cost of answering what if with action instead of excuses. When I was at my lowest, overweight, depressed, full of excuses, I had to ask myself the hardest what if of all. What if I die like this? What if this is it for me? That question scared the hell out of me, but it also woke me the fuck up. I realized that no one was coming to save me. No one was going to do the work for me. If I wanted to change my life, I had to become a savage. In 2014, the National Park Service shut down the traditional Badwater course. They didn't give a damn about tradition or the fact that runners like me thrive on that hellish terrain. So Chris Coastman redrew the map. Instead of starting in Death Valley National Park and running 42 soul-crushing miles through the hottest desert on earth, he kicked it off further north at the base of a 22-mile climb. That wasn't the problem, though. The real issue. I showed up like a dumbass, 11 pounds over my race weight with 10 of those pounds slapped on in the last 7 days. I wasn't some lazy fat ass on the outside. I looked fit. But this wasn't some weekend 5K. This was Badwater, the big leagues. And here's the thing. Badwater doesn't give a shit how you look. It's about performance, about pushing your body and mind beyond what most people can even comprehend. I needed to be razor sharp, but I was anything but. My condition was trash and it hit me like a sucker punch. After 2 years of running like a damn amateur, I thought I was back. I thought I found my fire again. The previous January, I'd smashed a 100 km glacial trail race called Frozen Otter. It wasn't the Hurt 100, but it was damn close. Set in Wisconsin, just outside Milwaukee, the course was brutal. A lopsided figure 8 with the start and finish at the center. Between the loops, we could grab food and gear from our cars to stuff into our packs along with mandatory supplies. That wasn't optional. The weather out there doesn't play. If you're not prepared, it'll chew you up and spit you out. You'd die of dehydration, hypothermia, or just plain stupidity. The first lap was the bigger loop. At the start, it was a solid 0 degrees Fahrenheit. The trails weren't plowed, of course. In some spots, snow drifted like sand dunes. In others, the trails were coated in slick, deadly ice. That ice had one mission: to take you down. Most of my competitors were in boots or trail shoes. Me, I was out there in regular ass running shoes with cheap crampons strapped on, thinking they'd handle the job. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Within the first hour, those damn crampons snapped and I was left sliding and cursing my way forward. But I was leading the pack, cutting through 6 to 12 inches of snow on average. In some spots, it felt like I was plowing through mountains of the stuff on my feet, cold and soaked right from the jump. 2 hours in, they felt like blocks of ice. My toes were screaming with every step and my upper body wasn't doing any better. When you sweat in sub-zero temperatures, the salt tears your skin apart. My underarms and chest looked like someone had gone at them with sandpaper raw and bleeding, but none of that even registered, not really. Why? Because for the first time since my second heart surgery, I was running free. My body wasn't betraying me. I was getting the oxygen I needed, my endurance, fucking top notch, my strength. On another level, yeah, the trail was a disaster, but my technique was dialed in and I was unstoppable. Pain, that's just a reminder you're alive. You don't quit. You don't back down. You show up no matter how heavy you feel, no matter how raw your skin gets, and you handle your business. I was way out in front dominating that course, but I had to stop at my car for a sandwich before hitting the final 22-mile loop. My toes were on fire, throbbing with a pain so sharp it felt evil. Deep down, I knew what that shit meant. Frostbite. There was a real chance I'd lose some toes, but I wasn't about to take off my shoes to confirm it. Nah, man. I didn't need to see it. What good would that do? Doubt started creeping and whispering its bullshit like it always does. Only a handful of people have ever finished this race, it said. No lead is safe in this kind of cold. It's funny how the weather isn't just a thing, it's a motherfucking weapon. The cold will strip you bare and break you quicker than anything else out there. But I don't give that kind of talk room in my head. I crushed that voice, flipped the script, and told myself, finish this damn race strong. Worry about losing toes when you're standing in the hospital as the fucking champion. I got back on the course. The sun had come out earlier, softening the snow, but by then the wind had iced the trail back over. It was slick as hell. As I ran, my mind flashed back to my first year at the Hurt 100 and watching Karl Meltzer tear it up. Back then, I was a clunky bastard. A damn plotter. My heel would hit the dirt first, peeling up the trail like I was trying to shovel the whole damn thing with my foot. It was sloppy, inefficient, and begging for a fall. But Karl, that dude didn't run, he floated. He moved like a goat springing off his toes, sticking to the edges of the trail like he had suction cups for feet. The way he ran was surgical. His toes barely touched the ground before his legs launched back into the air. His head, rock solid. His core, engaged. The dude was all efficiency and power, and it burned itself into my brain like a permanent tattoo. From that moment, I started studying him. I visualized his form every damn day and drilled it into my training. They say it takes 66 days to build a habit. Bullshit. For me, it takes way longer than that, but I don't stop until I get it. That's what separates the weak from the strong. I keep showing up. Over the years, I learned that running isn't just about grit. It's about craft. A true runner analyzes their form and makes adjustments. I didn't learn that in the SEALs, but being around elite ultra runners, I absorbed everything. At first, their techniques felt unnatural, but I kept grinding until they became second nature. At Frozen Otter, my focus was simple. Hit the ground soft, just enough to explode forward. Back in Buds, in my first platoon, when people thought I was a good runner, my form was trash. My head bounced all over the place, my weight shifted like a drunk, and every footfall was a liability. It made me clumsy and prone to slipping on shit terrain. But through trial and error, through thousands of hours of training, I figured it out. Balance became second nature. At Frozen Otter, everything clicked. I was navigating steep, icy trails with speed and grace. My head stayed still, my motion quiet, my steps feather light. I ran on the balls of my feet like a damn ninja. When I picked up speed, it felt like I disappeared into the white abyss. My mind locked in. It wasn't just running anymore. It was meditation. I became Karl Meltzer. This time it was me floating over the impossible. I crossed that finish line in 16 hours, smashed the course record, and walked away with the Frozen Otter title. And yeah, I kept all my toes. 2 years earlier, I was getting my ass handed to me by easy 6-mile runs. Dizzy spells hit me out of nowhere, and my body felt like it was falling apart. In 2013, I had to walk over 100 miles of Badwater walk motherfucker and finish in 17th place. For someone like me, that's the equivalent of getting knocked the fuck out in round one. I was on a damn downslide and convinced my days of being a contender were done. Then came Frozen Otter, and for the first time in years, I felt alive again. That race lit a fire in me. It tempted me to believe not only that I was back, but that my best ultra years were behind me. They were ahead waiting for me to grab them by the throat. I took that energy, bottled it up, and carried it straight into my prep for Badwater 2014. At the time, I was living in Chicago working as an instructor at Bud's Prep. My job was to turn wannabes and would BS into something closer to the real deal. After more than 20 years in the military, I was in my final stretch, and there I was dropping knowledge on the next generation. It felt like the universe had come full circle. But just because I was teaching didn't mean I was slowing down. My life was a damn grind. I ran 10 miles to work in the morning, another 10 miles back home at night. And if I had the time, I'd sneak in 8 miles during lunch. Weekends. That was where the real shit happened. 35 to 40-mile runs on the regular. It all added up to brutal 130-mile weeks. My body was in the trenches, but my mind was a fortress. I felt like I was bulletproof. As the weather warmed, I turned up the heat. Literally. I started layering up. 4 or 5 sweatshirts, a beanie, and a Gore-Tex jacket. I'd hit the streets looking like I was training for a mission to hell. When I showed up at work soaked to the bone, my fellow SEAL instructors would just shake their heads. I'd peel off my wet clothes, stuff them into black trash bags, and slam those bags onto the floor like trophies. Together, they weighed damn near 15 pounds. That was the price of greatness. 4 weeks out from Badwater, I started my taper. I dropped my mileage like clockwork. 130 miles to 80, then 60, then 40, and finally 20. This was supposed to be the golden period. The time when my body would repair itself, stockpile energy, and get me primed to unleash hell on race day. But that's not what happened. Instead, I felt like absolute shit. My hunger vanished and my sleep went with it. Some people said my body was starved for calories. Others thought I was low on sodium. My doctor checked my thyroid, slightly off, but nothing catastrophic. The answer wasn't some mystery. It was right in front of me. I was overtrained. I'd been hitting it too hard for too long, and my body was starting to rebel. But you know what? That's the price of chasing greatness. Sometimes you push so hard the fucking wheels damn near come off. 2 weeks before the race, I thought about pulling the fuck out. My mind was at war with itself, and my body felt like a ticking time bomb. Every easy run turned into a damn adrenaline surge I couldn't shake. My heart felt like it was ready to explode, skipping into arrhythmia even at a mellow pace. The thought crossed my mind, is it my heart again? 10 days out, I landed in Vegas ready to grind. I had 5 runs scheduled, but I couldn't get through a single one. 3 miles and I'd hit a wall every damn time. I wasn't eating much, but somehow my weight was climbing fast. It wasn't fat, it was water. My body was holding on to it like a fucking sponge. I went to another doctor to figure out what the hell was going on. He ran his test, looked me in the eye, and told me there was nothing wrong with me. Nothing. When I heard that, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't quitting. Not now, never. Race day came, and during the first miles and the brutal opening climb of Badwater 2014, my heart was still racing. Some of it was the altitude, but my pulse was off the damn charts. 22 miles later, I hit the top in 6th or 7th place. I was surprised and a little proud, but I knew this was just the start of the pain. I thought, let's see what I've got on the downhill. I've never been a fan of running steep descents. It chews up your quads and spits them out. But I figured it might help me reset, catch my breath, and settle my heart. Nah, man, my body wasn't having it. I couldn't catch my breath at all. When I hit the flat at the bottom, I slowed to a walk. That's when the shit show started. My competitors blew past me while my thighs went crazy twitching like there was some alien rattling around in there. Muscle spasms tore through me, my quads felt like liars, but I still didn't fucking stop. I walked 4 miles dragging my broken ass to a Lone Pine motel where the Badwater medical team was set up. They checked me out, saw my blood pressure was a little low, and fixed that quick. Other than that, nothing. No metric could explain the storm brewing inside me. I ate, rested, and told myself, let's give it one more go. The flat section leaving Lone Pine looked manageable. I thought if I can handle this, maybe the second wind will come. 6 or 7 miles later, that second wind never showed up. My cells were ripped to shreds and I was running on fumes. My muscles kept twitching, my heart was bouncing all over the damn chart, and I knew this was it. I looked at my pacer and said the words I'd never want to say. That's it, man. I'm done. My support vehicle rolled up and I climbed inside. Minutes later, I was lying on that motel bed, humiliated, wrecked with my tail between my legs. I'd lasted just 50 miles, an embarrassment by my standards, but any shame I felt about quitting got drowned out by something deeper. This wasn't about fear or wanting to quit because it hurt. This was different. My gut told me clear as day that if I didn't stop pushing, I wasn't making it out of those Sierras alive. That night, we left Lone Pine and headed for Vegas. I didn't just lose the race, I felt like I lost a part of myself. But sometimes survival is the only victory you can take. For 2 days, I tried to rest and pull my shit together, hoping my body would balance out. We were staying at the Wynn, and by the 3rd morning, I thought, fuck it. Let's see what's left. I laced up my shoes and went for a jog. 1 damn mile and my heart was pounding in my throat like a sledgehammer. I had to shut it down. I walked back to the hotel drenched in failure, knowing deep down that the doctors were full of shit. I was sick, really sick, and whatever was tearing me apart wasn't just in my head. Day by day, it got worse. Everything fucking crashed on me. Getting out of bed felt like a mission impossible. My whole body ached like I'd been hit by a fucking truck, and I was so constipated, it felt like I was being strangled from the inside out. Another round of blood tests came back and they decided I had Addison's disease, an autoimmune disorder that fucks up your adrenals and shuts down cortisol production. It made sense, especially for SEALs who run on adrenaline like a junkie chasing a fix. The doc put me on a cocktail of drugs, hydrocortisone DAX and some other shit I can't even remember. But instead of pulling me out of the fire, those pills only threw more fuel on it. My decline sped the fuck up. After that, the doctors waved the white flag. I saw it in their eyes before they said a word. To them, I was either a crazy hypochondriac or a dead man walking. They didn't know what the fuck was killing me and they had no clue how to fix me. But quitting, that's not in my fucking DNA. I fought through it even as my body fell apart. Nobody at work had any idea what I was going through. No one saw my weakness. My entire life I've been hiding my insecurities, my trauma, my pain. I'd built this ironclad armor around my vulnerabilities and refused to let anyone see what was really going on inside. But eventually even my bullshit mental toughness couldn't save me. The pain locked me in bed like a prisoner. I called in sick, something I never did, and lay there staring at the ceiling wondering if this was it. Is this how I go out? When you're staring into the abyss, your mind does crazy shit. Mine started flipping through every chapter of my life, dragging out the highlights and stitching them together into a reel that wouldn't stop playing. I saw it all. The little boy who got beat down and told he was worthless. The uneducated dropout rejected at every turn until I took ownership of my life. I remember being fat as fuck, losing a marriage, surviving 2 heart surgeries, teaching myself to swim, and running ultra marathons on broken legs. That reel reminded me of one thing. I'd been through hell before and I fucking owned it. This was just another layer of hell and I wasn't about to let it finish me. I used to be scared shitless of heights, so I started jumping out of planes at high altitudes. Water. That scared the living fuck out of me too. So I didn't just learn how to swim. I became a technical diver and underwater navigator, diving deep into fear until it didn't own me anymore. I've run over 60 ultra distance races, once set a pull-up record. I grew up stuttering like a broken record, but I became the Navy SEAL's go-to speaker. I fought for my country on the battlefield and refused to let my story be written by the abuse I was born into, the bullying I endured, or the fears that once gripped me. I sure as hell wasn't going to let talent define me either, because I didn't have much of that shit. What I had was grit. But that night in Vegas, something was off. After a movie in the suburbs, I felt weak as hell. We walked to the Elephant Bar, my mom a few steps ahead of me. Then shit got weird. I saw her intricate like some twisted funhouse mirror. I squeezed my eyes shut, hoping it would pass. Nope. Still 3 of her. She held the door open and I stumbled in. Once inside, the cool air helped for a second, but as soon as we slid into a booth, it hit me again. I couldn't even focus on the damn menu. You'll have to order for me, I told her. When the food came, it got worse. My vision blurred and my mom looked like she was floating above the table. That's when I said it. You're going to have to call an ambulance because I'm going down. I put my head on the table, desperate for some kind of stability. But my mom didn't panic. She got me up, crossed to my side, and I leaned on her as we shuffled to the hostess stand into the car. On the way, I gave her a quick rundown of my medical history in case I passed out and she had to explain shit to the doctors. Luckily, I didn't black out. My vision cleared up just enough for her to drive me to the ER. In the emergency room, the doctors checked my thyroid first. SEALs get fucked up thyroids all the time. Hell Week war and living in extremes wreak havoc on hormones. Fatigue, muscle aches, and weakness are just the tip of the iceberg when your thyroid goes sideways. But mine, barely off, my heart fine. Vegas Air Doc shrugged me off, saying I just needed rest. That answer was bullshit and I knew it. Back in Chicago, my own doctor ran every damn test imaginable. Endocrine panel, Lyme disease, hepatitis, rheumatoid arthritis, you name it. Everything came back clean, except for a slightly off thyroid. That didn't explain how I went from being an elite, unstoppable machine to someone who could barely stand, let alone run a fucking mile. I was in no man's land medically and mentally. I walked out of that office with a prescription for thyroid meds and even more unanswered questions. I was the sum of every damn obstacle I'd overcome. But this shit was different. I'd spent years telling my story to students and audiences across the country, talking about my triumphs and the life I'd built brick by brick. But now I was faced with something I couldn't yet understand. A new fight, a new wall to climb. And just like every other challenge before, I wasn't about to let this one break me. Man, I never hit the fucking snooze button on life. That shit doesn't exist in my world. There's always another mission, another challenge, another mountain to climb. If I worked 20 hours, I'd still find a way to get a workout in. Even if it meant 3 hours of sleep, that workout got done. No excuses. My brain wasn't wired for rest or appreciation. It was locked into go mode, always scanning the horizon, asking what's next, and then executing. That's why I stacked up so many insane accomplishments. I wasn't chasing accolades. I was hunting the next big thing. But now, lying in bed, my body wrecked and screaming with pain, I finally saw what was next. A damn cemetery. Years of pushing past limits had broken me. My body was done. I wasn't just hurting. I was dying. For months, I've been searching for answers to this medical mystery, but lying there in that moment, I wasn't bitter. I wasn't sad. Nah, man, I was 38 years old and had already lived 10 fucking lifetimes. I'd done more, seen more, and fought harder than most people ever will in 80 years. I didn't feel sorry for myself. I knew the bill was going to come due one day. You can only push so hard so long before the toll is paid. I started reflecting not out of desperation, but out of clarity. This wasn't the kind of reflection where you dig into the cookie jar of victories to get through a fight. I wasn't looking for a spark or some extra fuel to light the fire. I was done fighting. What I felt wasn't regret, it was gratitude. I wasn't supposed to be this person. The world didn't hand me this life. I built it brick by painful fucking brick, fighting myself every step of the way, and my broken, beaten body. That was my greatest trophy. Every torn muscle, every scar, every ache, it all meant I fought like hell to become the man I am. For the first time, I knew it didn't matter if I ever ran again, or even if I lived or died. I accepted that, and with that acceptance came something I'd never felt before: peace. My eyes welled up not because I was scared, but because at rock bottom, I finally saw things clearly. I looked back at the scared, dumb kid I used to be. The one who lied and cheated not to hurt anyone, but because he was desperate for acceptance. He broke the rules because he didn't know how to compete and was ashamed of feeling stupid. He needed friends. He was terrified to admit he couldn't fucking read, scared of being labeled a failure. And for the first time, I didn't hate that kid. I didn't tear him down or judge him. I understood him. That kid fought a lonely, brutal battle to get here. He didn't know any better, but he kept going anyway. Yeah, I missed out on a lot. Fun wasn't part of the journey, and happiness wasn't the drink I reached for. But that's the price I paid to become me. And in that moment, lying in bed with my body destroyed, I was finally okay with that. My brain was my worst fucking enemy. It kept me on constant blast, fear, doubt, judgment. It was relentless. I was terrified of being a nobody, scared shitless, and contributing nothing to the world. I judged myself harder than anyone else ever could, but I didn't stop there. I judged everyone around me, man. Rage fueled me. For years, I took all my pain, every scar from my fucked up past, and turned it into rocket fuel that launched me out of the gutter and into the stratosphere. Rage is powerful as hell, but it's also dangerous. It's a fire you can't always control, and sometimes the blast radius hit people who didn't deserve it. People who weren't as tough as I forced myself to become. People who didn't grind as hard. I didn't hold back either. I let them know exactly what I thought, and that shit burned bridges. It hurt people I cared about. It gave my haters ammunition, and some of them even managed to fuck with my military career because of it. But on that cold Chicago morning in 2014, lying in bed broken and burned out, I let it all go. Every grudge, every ounce of bitterness, every drop of hate, I released it. The long list of assholes, haters, doubters, racists, and abusers who had been part of my story. I couldn't hate them anymore. I saw them for what they really were. The architects of my fucking greatness. They built me. Every insult, every slap in the face, every closed door. They were bricks in the wall of who I become. Without them, there's no Goggins. And when I finally appreciated them for that, my mind got quiet for the first time in my life. I'd been fighting an all-out war for 38 years. But now, at what felt like the end, I found peace. Man, self-realization doesn't come easy. There are a million ways to get there, but none of them are soft or easy. They all demand discipline most people can't even imagine. In Southern Africa, the Sand people dance for 30 fucking hours straight to touch the divine. In Tibet, pilgrims crawl their way across thousands of miles, rising, kneeling, and laying themselves out flat over and over again just to reach a sacred temple and sit in meditation. In Japan, there's a sect of Zen monks who run 1,000 marathons in 1,000 days to find enlightenment through pure suffering. I don't know if what I felt in that bed was enlightenment, but I do know this. Pain opens a door in your mind. A secret fucking door. It leads to peak performance, but it also leads to a deep, beautiful silence most people will never experience. At first, when you push yourself past your limits, your mind freaks the fuck out. It screams at you to stop, spinning you into panic and doubt, dragging you into self-torture. But if you keep pushing, if you refuse to quit, the pain saturates your mind to the point where all that noise just stops. And when it does, you feel something else. You become focused, clear, connected, not just to yourself, but to everything around you. The boundaries dissolve and you tap into a power you didn't even know existed. That's what I was chasing my whole life. Those moments of pure connection, of total power. And as I lay there reflecting on all the shit I've been through, I felt it again. Stronger than ever. My pain was my key and I had unlocked the door. For hours, I floated in that strange space, half peace, half pain. It was like swimming in light where gratitude and discomfort were two sides of the same coin. I felt it all. The agony, appreciation, the ache, and the understanding. Eventually, that trance broke like a fever. I smiled, wiped the tears out of my eyes, and rubbed my head. That's when I felt it. A familiar knot at the base of my neck, bigger than ever. My mind snapped into focus. I threw off the covers and checked the knots above my hip flexors. Those bastards had grown too. Could it really be that simple? Could all this suffering, this fucking spiral of pain be tied to those damn knots? My mind flashed back to 2010, back on base in Coronado, to a guy named Joe Hippensteel. The SEALs brought him in as an expert on stretching and some advanced training methods. Joe wasn't your average dude. He was a 5'8" decathlete trying to take on giants to make the Olympic team. He had a chip on his shoulder and decided to outwork everyone. To override his genetics, he turned himself into a beast, squatting twice his body, weight for 10 sets of 10 reps in one session. But building all that strength came with a price. Tension crept and injuries piled up, and his Olympic dream blew the fuck up when he tore his hamstring before the trials. Joe didn't wallow. He went to war with his own body, using himself as a guinea pig. He balanced strength with extreme flexibility training. Whenever he hit a certain range of motion, his pain disappeared. He built his own system, dialing the optimal range of motion for every joint and muscle. And guess what? He didn't need doctors or physical therapists anymore. He fixed his own injuries and started training elite athletes. By 2010, word got around and Joe found himself stretching out a bunch of hard-headed SEALs. I was one of them. He told us straight up, "You guys are all fucked up from Hell Week." All those flutter kicks and freezing cold waves had locked our bodies into a state of tension. Joe said most of us would need 20 hours of intensive stretching just to get back to normal, and then 20 minutes a day to maintain it. When he got to me, he gave me a look like I was a fucking disaster. "You've passed 3 Hell Weeks," he said, shaking his head. "Your body's locked up like steel cables. You're going to need hundreds of hours, Goggins." I didn't listen. Why the fuck would I? Back then, I only cared about strength and power, flexibility. I thought it was bullshit. All the science I'd read said more flexibility meant less speed and force. So I brushed him off. But now, lying in that bed, broken as hell, staring death in the face, I had to admit the truth. My perspective had shifted. My obsession with power had turned my body into a prison, and Joe's words hit me like a sledgehammer. I wasn't just dying. I was fucking dying. Because I'd ignored the one thing that could have saved me. I dragged myself up, stumbled to the bathroom, and stared at the mirror. Turning sideways, I checked the knot on my neck. Then it hit me. Standing as tall as I could, I realized I wasn't just slouched. I lost almost 2 damn inches of height. My range of motion was absolute trash. My body was betraying me. But what if Joe was right all along? Look, man, I live by this, peaceful but never satisfied. Acceptance doesn't mean rolling over and taking shit without a fight. It doesn't mean I'm going to sit around waiting to die either. I've never been about that life. If there's a battle to be fought, even one against my own broken body, you better believe I'm strapping in. I'd already tried the doctors and their bullshit prescriptions. All they did was make me feel worse. I was out of options. The only thing left to do was stretch myself back to life. First, I tackled posture. Sounds simple, right? Not when your body's locked up like a fucking steel trap. I sat on the ground, tried to cross my legs, and boom, my knees were up around my damn ears. I lost my balance and rolled over like a turtle on its back. It took everything I had to sit up again. 10 seconds, maybe 15. That's all I could take before the pain lit me up, and I had to straighten my legs. My lower body cramped so bad it felt like my muscles were being clamped in a vice. Sweat poured out of me. But I didn't stop. I folded my legs again, sat in the fire, and fought through the pain. 10 seconds turned to 20, then 30. I cycled through that stretch for an hour and slowly my body started to unlock. Next, I hit a basic quad stretch, the kind you learn in middle school. I stood on one leg, grabbed my other foot, and tried to hold it. My quads were so damn tight it felt like trying to stretch steel cables. I held the pose until the pain hit a 7 out of 10, then switched sides. That stretch wasn't just for my quads, it hit my psoas too, that deep hidden muscle that connects your spine to your legs. Let me tell you about the psoas, that's the fight or flight muscle. And my whole fucking life has been fight or flight. From childhood trauma to 3 hell weeks, Ranger School, Delta Selection, and War I lived in overdrive. That psoas muscle had been my constant workhorse, but I never once stopped to loosen it up. Years of running on fumes, freezing my ass off in cold weather, and pushing through sleep deprivation had turned my POS into a damn boa constrictor. It was squeezing the life out of me. It tilted my pelvis, compressed my spine, and robbed me of 2 inches of height. When I talked to Joe about it, he didn't sugarcoat it. Your muscles were locked up so tight they couldn't even circulate blood. They were like frozen steak. And if the blood can't flow, you're fucked. That's why your body was shutting down. Every stretch was like stepping into a furnace. My body was so inflamed and stiff that even the smallest movement lit me up. But I didn't back down. I sat in that pain. When I moved into the butterfly stretch, it felt like I was being ripped apart from the inside. That first day I stretched for 2 hours. The next day I was sore as hell, but I got after it anyway. I stretched for 6 hours, same 3 poses on repeat. Then I tried the double quad stretch, sitting on my heels. And let me tell you, that was pure fucking agony. I added in calf stretches too. Each session was brutal at first, but after an hour or two, my body started to release. By the end of the week, I was stretching for 12 hours a day. I'd wake up at 6 a.m., stretch until 9 a.m., then keep it going all day. At my desk on the phone during lunch, it didn't matter. I stretched until I couldn't anymore. This wasn't just about saving my body. This was a fight to save my life. And I wasn't about to lose. I started with a routine hitting my neck, shoulders, hips, pelvis, glutes, quads, hamstrings, and calves, every damn inch of my body. Stretching became my new obsession, my religion. I didn't just dabble in it. I attacked it like my life depended on it. I went full on psycho with this shit. I bought a massage ball to beat the hell out of my psoas, dropped a damn board at a 70 degrees angle against the door and stretched my calf until it screamed. For 2 fucking years, I'd been living with this bullshit, pain, stiffness, knots, and I was done. After months of grinding, stretching for hours every single day, I started to see results. The bump on the back of my skull shrank. Those damn knots in my hip flexors, gone, my health and energy, skyrocketing. Was I flexible yet? Nah, man. Was I completely healed? Not even close. But I didn't give a shit because I was making progress. I was off almost all my meds except for my thyroid stuff. I kept grinding, stretching 6 hours a day after day, week after week, month after month. Years later, I'm still at it. So yeah, this isn't a story about stretching or some feel-good bullshit. It's about grinding through the pain, owning your failures, and showing up every fucking day to put in the work. No excuses, no shortcuts. Just relentless, brutal, unbreakable effort. So when I was broken and beaten down, stretching became my weapon. That's how I got my damn powers back. While my time in the military was winding down and I was still crawling out of the rehab trenches, I decided to level the fuck up. I studied to recertify as an EMT. No excuses. I went back to the same long-term memorization skills I've been sharpening since high school and came out at the top of my damn class. Not just that, I hit the TX Fire Training Academy and walked out of there as top honor man too. But you think I stopped there? Nah, man, I started running again. This time, no side effects, no bullshit holding me back. Once I got back into decent shape, I didn't just jog around the block, I hit ultras and I didn't just finish them. I took the top spot, including the Strolling Gym 40-miler in Tennessee and the Infinitus 88K in Vermont in 2016. But here's the thing, winning ultras wasn't enough. It never is. So I went out and became a wildland firefighter in Montana, battling blazes like a man possessed. The Buddha said life is suffering. I ain't no Buddhist man, but I know exactly what he meant, and so do you. Life's got its own brand of pain with your name on it. You can't dodge it, you can't outrun it. You will face it. And what do most people do? They run to comfort. They find a safe little bubble to hide in. They binge watch shows that make them feel good, pick hobbies that stroke their ego, and avoid the shit they hate. And you know what that makes them? Soft as hell. We put ourselves in a box because it's easy. It's cozy as fuck in there. But here's the thing, those limits we place on ourselves, they don't just cage us in. They become how the world sees us, how our family and friends love and understand us. That box becomes your identity, and most people never even try to bust out of it. But I'll tell you this, life doesn't give a fuck about your comfort zone. Pain, loss, humiliation, they're coming for you. The only question is, what the fuck are you going to do about it? You either face it head on or you let it own you. Man, most people are walking around with limits they've set for themselves, walls they built to keep life comfortable. But for some of us, those walls don't feel like protection. They feel like a damn prison. And one day when you least expect it, your mind breaks out. It jumps those walls and grabs hold of a dream, something that feels within reach. And guess what? Most dreams are within reach, but only if you're willing to bleed for them. The minute you decide to chase that dream, shit gets real. Breaking the chains, stretching past your bullshit limits. It's gonna hurt. It's supposed to hurt. You'll meet self-doubt and pain head on. They'll hit you so hard you'll feel your knees buckle. That's when the weak crumble. They crawl back to their little cells, and guess what? Those walls feel smaller. Those chains feel tighter. Every time you quit that prison, it gets harder to escape. But for the ones who stay outside those walls, who dare to keep fighting, the pain doesn't stop. It multiplies. The doubt doesn't go away, it comes at you even harder. And it's not just your own voice. The people you thought were in your corner, your so-called biggest fans, they'll start throwing shade, doubting you, talking shit. When I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months, everyone I talked to said the same weak-ass shit. Don't expect too much. Their soft, pathetic words fed my self-doubt. But let me tell you something. It's not their voices that break you. It's your own. The most dangerous conversations you'll ever have are the ones you have with yourself. That inner voice is with you every second of every day. It wakes up with you, walks with you, and eventually you act on what it's telling you. And most of us, we're our own worst fucking enemies. Self-doubt is natural. It's a reflex when you step into the unknown shit. You can't stop it, but you can shut it down. You fight it with one simple question. What if? What if I can do this? What if I'm capable of more? That question is your weapon. It kills negativity on sight. It forces you to look beyond the bullshit and see the possibility. What if is your permission to face down the darkest corners of your soul, to confront your pain, your past, your demons, and to use them? Turn that shit into fuel and go after the most audacious, outrageous dream you can imagine. Here's the truth. We live in a world full of insecure, jealous people. And sometimes they're the ones closest to you, your family, your friends. They fear failure, but they fear your success even more. Because when you rise above, when you transcend your limits, your light reflects off their walls. It forces them to see their own prisons, their own self-imposed limitations. And that shit scares them. But here's the thing. If they're truly good people, if they're the people you always believed in, your success will do something more. It'll light a fire under their ass. That jealousy will evolve, and maybe, just maybe, their imagination will hop its own fence. They'll see what's possible, and it'll be their turn to step up. Man, you're going to feel pain, real pain. But if you embrace it, endure it, and callous your mind against it, you'll get to a point where not even pain can break you anymore. But here's the thing. When you live this way, there's no finish line. The grind never stops. All that stretching, it changed my life. At 43, I'm in better shape now than I ever was in my 20s. Back then, I was sick all the damn time, wound tighter than a drum, stressed to hell, and never stopping to ask why. Stress fractures, tape that shit up. Mental stress, suck it up and move the fuck on. That was my solution to everything. Just keep moving no matter what. But now, I'm smarter, harder, still grinding like a motherfucker. In 2018, I went back into the mountains to fight fires as a wildland firefighter. I hadn't been in the field for 3 years, and I'd gotten soft, training in nice gyms, living in comfort. Hell, I was in a damn Vegas hotel when I got the call about the 416 fire. That shit started as a 2,000-acre grass fire, but it was turning into a 55,000-acre beast in the Colorado Rockies. I hopped on a prop plane, hitched a ride in a Forest Service truck, and 3 hours later, I was suited up and ready to go. Green pants, yellow shirt, hard hat, gloves, and my super Pulaski in hand. That Pulaski is no joke. I can dig for hours with that thing, and out there, that's what we do. We don't spray water, we dig, we clear brush, carve fire lines, and do whatever it takes to stop the flames. First day, first night, we dug lines around homes with the fire breathing down our necks. Less than a mile away, you could see the flames licking through the trees and feel the heat in the air. After that, we went higher, 100,000 feet up, digging on a 45-degree slope, trying to get to the mineral soil that fire can't touch. At one point, a tree fell and missed one of my teammates by 8 inches. 8 fucking inches from death. We smelled smoke everywhere. The Sawyers kept cutting down dead trees while we hauled brush out over creek beds, piling it into stacks 7 or 8 feet high every 50 feet for 3 damn miles. We did that for a week, 18-hour shifts at $12 an hour. Daytime temps were 80 degrees, nighttime dropped to 36 degrees, and we didn't complain. When the day was done, we slept wherever we landed under the stars. I didn't change my clothes for 6 days straight, and I didn't give a shit. The crew was mostly 15 years younger than me, but let me tell you something. They were the hardest motherfuckers I've ever worked with, men and women. No bitching, no whining, just work. When we finished, we carved a 3.2-mile fire line wide enough to stop that beast from eating the mountain alive. And I realized something. At 43, my wildland firefighting career isn't slowing down, it's just getting started. I love being part of a team of badasses like that. And my ultra career, that's coming back too. I'm still young enough to bring the fire and contend for titles. These days, I'm running faster than ever. At 33, my pace was 8.35 per mile. Now, I'm clocking 7.15s comfortably. No tape, no props, just my new flexible, fully functioning body. But let me tell you, the fire inside me is different now. It's not on autopilot anymore. Back in the day, my rage was right there ready to explode at any second. Now I have to dig a little deeper to find it. But when I tap into it, that shit still burns as hot as ever. I can feel every heartbreak, every obstacle, every ounce of hard work like it just happened yesterday. And that's exactly how I like it. That's why you can feel my fire every time I'm on a podcast or a video. That shit ain't fake. It's raw, it's real, and it's burned into my soul like scar tissue. It's always there chasing me down like a shadow, trying to pull me under, whispering that I ain't done yet. It's what keeps me moving, keeps me grinding, no matter how many wins or failures stack up in the years ahead. And trust me, there'll be plenty of both. But I'll tell you this, I don't give a single fuck about the scoreboard. I'll keep giving everything I've got, setting goals so big they make people uncomfortable. And when the doubters roll up shaking their heads telling me it's impossible, I'll do what I always do. I'll look those motherfuckers dead in the eye and hit them with one question. What if? Stay hard.